Hi, welcome to the Freeman Conversations. I'm Gilbert Alcal, the online editor of the Freeman, and today we're chatting with members of Toastmasters International. This is the international organization for public speaking and leadership, and we'll be talking about a topic that they know on the back of their hand, and that is public speaking. We have with us today Kulay Malazarte. He is the Division C Governor and the Sales Leader Training Manager of GlaxoSmithKline Philippines. And to his right is Jeffrey Tan, Area 24 Director and CEO of Backyard Incorporated. Guys, thank you for joining us today and welcome to the Freeman and the Freeman Conversations. We'll be talking about something that many of us can relate to because many of our friends have many friends who fear speaking in public. So my first question, since you are an expert in this area, experts in this area, you've competed in public speaking competitions. Why do people fear speaking in front of other people?
I think there's a term for that, Jopper. The term there is glossophobia. It's the fear of speaking in public. And according to statistics, 7 out of 10 people actually suffer from glossophobia.
Why is that?
So probably it's because of the fear of the unknown. Or, you know, in the Philippines, when you're not able to speak well, sometimes you'll be misconstrued as somebody who is less intelligent, right? So probably that could be the reason, because back then when I was still a young boy, I feared public speaking a lot because I don't want to be judged and I don't want to commit mistakes.
In front of many people?
Yes.
Okay. Jeffrey, what do you think?
People also fear to be ridiculed. So I think that's a primary reason that they fear public speaking, because they think that they're not prepared for it. And hence, when they speak in public, they sort of feel unprepared for doing so.
You mentioned about getting ridiculed in front of other people. How do you prevent that?
Oh.
If you have a commitment, for example, if you are asked to speak during a gathering, even within just your family, because we're not talking about really big crowds here, right? We're talking about public speaking in general terms. So how do you prepare for something like that?
Enough preparation. So just prepare for what you're asked or tasked to do. So just master whatever it is that you need to perform. And then I guess another tip would be just go with the flow, because sometimes no matter how hard you prepare for things, there are just instances where things or the reality just deviates from what you're preparing or what you're planning for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kulan?
If I may build on what Jeffrey mentioned, so according to my mentor, can I
Of course, yes. So, and by the way, before you continue, we also have in the studio other Toastmasters. Please acknowledge them.
We also have here with us the Area 22 Director, Ms. Melissa Leo Veloso, and the Vice President for Education of Pikpa Cebu Toastmasters, Benji Pilipindos.
Thanks for being here, guys. For giving moral support. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so, according to my mentor, Isa Pase, back then when I competed for the table topics.
Table topics is what is table
that's,
topics?
Impromptu speaking competition. Okay. And Isa said that public speaking is 90% preparation and only 10% delivery. So probably the way for you to be able to manage your fear of being ridiculed in public is to simply prepare for every speaking engagement.
How exactly do you prepare for that?
Like what I do is I write down my speech and then I rehearse and then edit over and over again until I'm able to come up with a very good speech.
For example, if you are asked to do a speech on a Saturday, how long before that should you prepare?
Probably around 48 hours.
At least 48 hours.
48 hours. So because public speaking is not just about the content, you also have to make sure that you're able to deliver the message well in an appropriate manner with correct platform behavior.
Both of you are members of Toastmasters International. Please talk about that. Many of our friends have heard about Toastmasters International, but what is it exactly and what does it do to the members?
So Toastmasters International is a non-profit organization that trains you to become effective communicator and at the same time become better leaders. So people have this misconception about the organization or about Toastmasters in general, that we tend to just talk and talk non-stop.
Don't you talk and talk non-stop?
Well, but behind that, there's this more important concept of leadership.
Okay.
So hence our tagline, Toastmasters International, is where leaders are made. Because we're actually trained to become better leaders.
How do you become better leaders in a club that fosters public speaking?
Yeah, they say that you become a better leader when you're able to communicate well. And so I can very well attest to that. Being somebody in the corporate, that one of an ideal characteristic of good corporate leaders, you're also able to communicate well, because communicating the strategies from the top and then down to the sales force. So
Yeah.
so I learned practically all my public speaking techniques in Toastmasters, and I'm applying it to where I am.
Both of you hold very important positions in your company. Jeffrey, you're the CEO, no less, of Backyard, and Kulay, you're the sales leader training manager. The whole Philippines.
Yes, yes.
And Kulay mentioned earlier that he has learned how to communicate his ideas well with his people. Does that go the same with you? Also, Jeffrey?
Yes, well, another important thing with Toastmasters is the thing that we call evaluation. It's giving constructive feedback to fellow Toastmasters or to other people. So with my training in Toastmasters, I was able to use this to become a better, shall I say, employer to my staff, by being able to motivate them, at the same time give them proper feedback when needed.
What is constructive feedback exactly?
When we say constructive feedback, we try to highlight the strengths of speakers or individuals.
So more on the positive, in other words.
Yes, that's correct. So more on the positive side, we try to build up on the strengths of the person or the individual as a speaker, as a leader, and at the same time, we provide them not with criticisms, provide them with means or recommendations on how to better improve. So that is what is different from Toastmasters and the program of Toastmasters, because we tend to focus on the positive, and we tend to empower and sort of motivate the individual rather than telling the individual that this is what you did wrong, this is how badly you performed. But we take that at a different angle, we use a positive note, and we always reinforce the speaker or the individual that this is what you did, or where you're good at, and you can do these things for you to become better.
Why? What's wrong with pointing out the negative aspects? What effect will that have?
I think
Because they also say another contention or point of view is that you might as well be honest with the people you work with. So if you find that the person is bad with his work, you say that is bad.
the good thing about Toastmasters is that we value honest and constructive evaluation. And what we mean by honest and constructive evaluation is that we don't just necessarily tell the person these are the things that we will have to improve on. We also show them how to do it.
Okay.
So it's basically identifying some of the areas where they can improve on and how best they will be able to work on those areas for development.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are the Division C Director, and Jeffrey is the Area 24 Director. These are positions you hold in Toastmasters International in the Philippines. What is the structure of the organization? Just so our viewers will have a clearer picture of the organizational structure of Toastmasters.
So I think there's a national organization, and in our term it's called district. In the Philippines is what we call District 75, and
in other words, there are many districts in the world.
yes,
Am I correct?
yes. There are many districts in the world, and then district. Then we go to the different divisions. So we call those the heads per area. Like in our case, we manage the Cebu area.
And Cebu is Division C.
Division C, correct. And then division, there are 5 areas.
Okay.
And then each area will have 4 to 5 clubs under them.
So essentially, Jeffrey is under you,
Yes,
and
that's
he
correct.
manages several clubs.
Yes.
What clubs are these? What clubs do we have, and how many do we have in Cebu?
So for Area 24, I handle 5 clubs.
Okay.
These are Pigpa Cebu Toastmasters Club, Midtown Toastmasters Club, Lexmark RD Toastmasters Club, Aboites Toastmasters Club, and Abacus Toastmasters Club.
How many do we have in Cebu?
In Cebu, there are 24 clubs.
Wow. Okay. And how many members do these clubs have?
So each club will probably have 20 to 25 members at an average.
What's the nature? You mentioned PICPA, which I believe is an organization also, the same name of an organization of accountants.
Yes, that's
Public
right.
accountants. And you also mentioned Abacus and what's the other one?
Aboites.
Aboites. These are private companies.
Corporations, yes.
Yeah.
So Aboites, Abacus, and Lexmark are all corporate clubs.
Corporate clubs.
Yes. And then Neta and PICPA are what we call community clubs. So they're open to anyone who's interested to join. Whereas the corporate clubs are limited to the employees of the organization.
Okay.
And then I think those corporate clubs have seen the value of the Toastmasters program, and they have integrated it in their training programs as well. So what happens here in Division C, it's a mix of corporate clubs and open clubs, which we call community clubs.
How many divisions are there in the Philippines?
In the Philippines, there are 11 divisions from the different parts of the archipelago. So from Luzon, GMA, and then Visayas and Mindanao.
Okay. What happens in your meetings? I understand you meet each club. How many times does a club meet every month, for example?
It's under the prerogative of the club, but in Cebu, usually we meet twice a month.
Okay.
So it can range between 2 to 3 times. But I know in the States or in other countries, they meet every week.
Every week.
Yes.
Right. Incidentally, Toastmasters International, I heard, just had its international convention.
Yes.
And one of the members of the Toastmasters community in Cebu, Jojo Chongbian of Ayala Toastmasters, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
made it to the elimination round.
Yes. He placed third
Third.
on the
Semifinals.
Semifinals in the international, what do you call that formally?
World Championship.
World Championship for Public Speaking. Jod, congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations,
for being glad
Jod.
to see you.
Very proud of you, but
Ayala is also, what do you call this? Corporate club.
Yes.
But Jod works in Marriott.
so I think Ayala has the membership of Ayala Toastmasters Club. It's not just limited to employees at Ayala Center Cebu. So Ayala companies.
Okay. Going back to my question, what happens in your meetings? In the meetings, how exactly do the members make use of the program Toastmasters have?
We follow a certain structure in a way that we require members to give speeches, and we also have another aspect that we call the evaluation, as we pointed out earlier, and other members perform or give the evaluation for those who just gave their speeches.
What kind of speeches do you deliver?
Well, it can be anything. You choose your topic, you deliver it the way you want to, but we follow certain objectives because we have these manuals that we use, and then every level or every speech that you perform or you deliver, you get to follow certain objectives, and that way we get to learn different skill sets as we progress in our Toastmasters journey.
For example, what objectives are these, for example?
So if I may also add, so I think the ultimate end of every Toastmaster is to become a distinguished Toastmaster, and for you to be able to
What is
achieve
a
that.
distinguished Toastmaster?
So it's the highest norm, the highest educational and leadership norm that a Toastmaster member can achieve in his or her lifetime.
In other words, Toastmasters also have rankings, so to speak,
Yes.
as they progress. Okay.
So there's the communication track and the leadership track. So for the communication track, so we are actually looking at, talking about the current curriculum. So we
That
have
sounds very academic. Current curriculum. Is that how serious this cloud is?
yes, because
How different is it from a classroom? Is it really a classroom setting there for the benefit of those who might be interested to join?
it's not a typical classroom activity, but what we do is it's a normal meeting. So we invite somebody to speak in front, and that person actually works on a certain speech project.
For example, what project is this?
If you are somebody who's new to the organization, so you will have to deliver the basic speech project. So those projects will help you out in developing speeches and delivering them appropriately. But if you're finished, if you're done with your basic speeches, then you move on to advanced speeches.
What are these basic speeches? I think that's going to be one of the first questions a new member will ask.
So under these basic speeches, you get to learn things on vocal variety,
Ah,
gestures,
okay.
using visual aids,
Yes.
researching your topic, and at the same time organizing your speech.
Interesting. Yeah.
So as you progress to the more advanced manuals, then you get to choose manuals that talks about storytelling.
Mhm.
You have interpretative reading. You also do humorous
Yeah.
speaking or
Because humor is a very important component in speeches. I
Yes.
believe.
yes, as we found.
You mentioned the objectives earlier. Are they all lumped up into one speech, or how does it work?
So under the current curriculum, we have a member starts with 10 basic speeches.
Okay.
So as you move on from one speech to the other, you get to learn different skill sets.
Yeah.
So
different
one
objectives
speech,
per
one.
speech.
Okay.
One.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Say for example, if you're new to the Toastmasters organization, the first speech that we're going to deliver is the icebreaker speech. That is the very speech where you will be able to learn how to introduce yourself better in front of your
What does introducing yourself better mean?
Yeah.
What's wrong with simply saying I'm Jed Fritan, I'm blah blah blah?
So you would be able to identify. So let's say in my 31 years of experience, so I have so many things to talk about myself. But Toastmasters will enable you to identify the top 3 things that you may need to highlight in that particular speech.
I see. Okay.
So, and then after the first speech, then you move on to how organizing your speech, using the right words in your speeches, using gestures and vocal varieties, and then using different materials to aid you in delivering your message. And then the last part there would be an inspirational speech. Yeah.
Would you remember your first speeches?
Oh yes.
Do you remember?
Yes.
What was yours?
The title of my speech was "The Irony in Me."
The irony in you.
Yes.
And what did you also talked about 3 things about yourself?
I focus on a specific aspects of my life when I was in high school, when I moved to the UK to finish my studies, and then when I came back.
Okay.
So, well, not doing it, but I sort of focus on the 3 most important aspects of my life.
I think that's important. The value of that, just like in writing, is that a problem many writers face is how to begin an article, for example, and how to end it. They also get to learn that in Toastmasters in public speaking.
Yes, especially when you do your evaluations, you have to focus on 3 things, which are the content, organization, and delivery. And I believe where the speaker can get most value from is when you highlight or focus on the organization aspect.
Yeah.
So this is where you get to learn, or you get to suggest on things like introduction or how the closing was
Yes.
created. So
Who does the evaluations?
So
it can be any member.
Any
of the
member
club.
can actually
Presumably a
evaluate.
more experienced member?
Yes, well, ideally it should be a more experienced member who has covered or has delivered that speech project already.
Yes.
But any member can actually volunteer to be an evaluator.
How different is an evaluation in Toastmasters to a criticism, for example?
In Toastmasters, it's usually an honest but constructive. When we deliver evaluation speeches, it's usually constructive in fashion. So we don't necessarily just pinpoint the areas where the speaker can improve on, but we also, just like what I said a while back, we also recommend, suggest how best to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that, well, this organization practically helps you develop your love for public speaking, but many, particularly our politicians, many of them can't seem to stop talking when they are already in front of people.
Yeah.
So if you already have this skill of how do you prevent this from happening? I think that should be the question.
Yeah. Well, in every meeting, we assign a timer.
Yes.
I see.
So
Okay.
that is an aspect where we get to practice our leadership skills.
Yes.
Because ideally, a speaker is given an allotted time, and the speaker should be able to complete his or her speech within that time frame.
The first speech, for example, how long should the speech be?
Most of the speeches are 5 to 7 minutes long.
Okay.
The first one is only 4 to 6 minutes. But other advanced projects would require you to deliver speeches that will take 15 to 20 minutes. So it really depends on the project that you choose.
What happens if you go beyond the time allotment?
So,
Do you get kicked out of the club?
no.
Oh, no, definitely not.
But before the meeting would have to end, no, so the timer gets to give you a rundown of who went overtime and who were able to manage their speaking time well.
All right.
So from there, you'd also be able to improve on that.
Yeah, I think the wisdom behind that, even outside of Toastmasters, is the respect that one must
Yes.
have on the time of other people.
Yes, that's correct.
If I may add, Jo, so in Toastmasters, we always have that timing device, and we that timing device is very sacred to us because that speaks a lot about respect
Okay.
for the people who are listening and the people who will also be delivering their speeches.
I heard there's also a mentorship program in Toastmasters.
Yes.
Can you please talk about that?
So the mentorship program is really reinforced for the clubs to implement this, because what happens is the vice president for education or the president would be assigning a mentor who's a more experienced member of a club to guide the new member as to what will happen in meetings, the role that the member is supposed to take, and how to prepare for the speeches. The role of the mentor can really go beyond that.
Yes.
So it's not really limited to just,
It doesn't end in the meetings.
it doesn't end the meetings, because a mentee or a new member can actually request for his or her mentor to review the speech and provide comments
Yes.
prior to delivering it
I see.
on your club meetings.
So there's guidance all throughout the experience.
Yes, that is the primary goal of the mentor-mentee program.
Okay. Yeah.
So yes, in every Toastmasters organization, once you're new to the organization, you will really be assigned a mentor, just like what Jeffrey mentioned a while
This
ago.
goes with the other clubs
Yes,
in
it's
the rest of the world.
it's a practice that we do in Toastmasters, so that that new member will be guided as to where he would be going in his Toastmasters journey.
Mhm.
So that's
Do you get to choose your mentors? What if I don't like the one assigned to me, for example?
Well, you get assigned a mentor,
Yeah.
but you can always ask the officers.
Yes.
You can
Okay.
also approach any of your club members for guidance or for help. So,
So it's not exclusive to the mentors.
Yes.
No.
Like say for
And-
instance,
as a mentor, I can also get assigned several mentees, so that's also possible.
Okay, that's fun.
yeah,
It is, but it's a lot of hard work, but it's fun, especially when you see how your mentee has progressed from the
Okay.
very first basic speech that he delivered down to like project number 6 or project number 7, and really see how much has improved.
That should be very fulfilling on the part of the mentor.
Yes, it is.
Yes. You mentioned hard work in Toastmasters, but you guys get paid for this if you're there?
Nowadays, for the love of Toastmasters.
Okay. I heard that you have both experienced competitions. There are competitions in Toastmasters.
Yes.
Talk about this.
So in the Philippines, we have 4 major competitions. The first one is table topics or the impromptu speaking competition.
Okay.
And we also do evaluation contests, speech to evaluate, and then humorous speech contest and international prepared speech or the inspirational speech.
Okay.
Yeah. So we do it annually. So the contest will have to start out in the club, and then from club you move on to the area, to the division, and once you make it to the division finals, then you move on to the district finals.
This is the national
Yes,
level.
the national level.
And for the international speech contest, whoever wins on the district level or on the national level gets to represent the country to the World Championship of
So this is the category that
Judge
joined in.
Yes.
Okay. What was his speech? Do you remember? When you went to the Worlds?
Musa. The title of the speech was Musa.
When you compete, for example, you get to choose your own topics, or
Yes.
are they pre-chosen?
No, you choose your own
You
topic,
choose
you
your-
write your speech. It shouldn't be plagiarized.
Yeah.
Okay, that
Or
should be an important component, right?
Originality is very important.
And
Oh, by the way, speaking of that, when you deliver your speeches in the club, for example, do you write your speech yourself, or can you get help from your mentor, for example, in the writing process?
well, the writing has to be done mainly by the members.
Yes.
Okay.
for me, the role of the mentor should just be able to give suggestions on how to improve the speech, or perhaps if the mentee wants to practice delivering the speech prior to the meeting, then you can give suggestions on the delivery, on how he can really improve his piece.
But the writing primarily should be by the member. So what have you joined in?
So
What categories?
the last speech contest that I joined was the table topics or the impromptu speaking competition.
Okay. Oh, by the way, before we go to that, how different are these four? What are the differences?
So impromptu table topics or impromptu speaking, you'll be given a topic and you will have to approach the topic or handle the topic with right there and then.
So no preparation.
No preparation whatsoever.
And what do you talk about, for example? What kind of topics do you get confronted with in the contest?
So anything under the sun.
Really?
Yeah.
For example?
So the topic that during the district finals, so the topic that was given to me was quote.
You've reached the national finals.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
that was this year?
That was in 2015.
That was your last competition, and you placed
first runner-up.
First runner-up. Okay. Congratulations. So going back, yeah.
Yeah. So the topic then was it is in our moments of decision that we shape our destiny.
So profound. Can they just not throw easier topics like how is your love life or something like that?
Yeah. So and then there was one topic that I will not be able to forget. So the topic then was how would you sell Toastmaster to a mountainous tribe?
Let's talk about the first topic first. How did you answer that?
So I shared a story. So according to Toastmaster, the best way to approach a topic is to share a personal story. So what I shared then.
Why is that the best way?
Because it emphasizes sincerity. It makes a topic even more relatable to the audience and the listener.
Yeah.
And it's based on your experience, so nobody can contest that. So,
okay.
So I shared an experience of mine back then when I joined this program called the Ship for Southeast Asian Youth Program.
Yeah.
So it was a decision that I made because majority of the people that I spoke with during the time told me that it's just a program exclusive to the members of the affluent family, the members of influential people, but I really took the challenge there. So I share that as a story.
Okay, so that was how, in other words, you personalized your answer. Jeffrey, what did you compete in?
So 4 years ago, I joined both international speech contest and the evaluation speech contest.
Can you join several categories?
Yes, we have people who
same
join
time? 4
categories in 1 year, so that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Yes, sometimes people get to represent their district or their division for 2 categories.
I see.
So that's also perfectly fine.
So impromptu and international?
International and evaluation.
Evaluation and... So evaluation, I can understand in the club that there is a speaker that you have to evaluate.
Yes.
Is that the same in the contest?
Yes, it's the same thing. We invite test speakers who will deliver again 5 to 7 minute speech, and then the evaluators or the contestants are given some time to prepare the evaluation, and then they have to give their feedback based on that speech.
I see. Okay, so that's for evaluation.
Yes, it's a bit tricky because, as we mentioned earlier, we have to stay true to giving positive and constructive feedback. But to be honest with you, sometimes you really just find the speaker, you can really point out lots of things that the speaker can improve on. And you cannot always just tell the speaker that, oh, you're a very good speaker.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to be honest with our evaluation. So you have to find that.
You cannot whitewash an evaluation.
Yes. No, you cannot do that. So you have to find the right words to tell the speaker that, yes, I commend you for taking that bold step of making the speech, but you have to be spot on with your evaluations as well.
Okay.
But making sure that the speaker does not get offended with your comments or with your suggestions. So that's the tricky part of giving an evaluation. So I remember I did not start giving evaluation before I finished my 7th or my 8th speech because I was afraid and I didn't know how to really evaluate a speaker. I mean, imagine that speaker prepared hard
Right.
spend countless of hours preparing that speech, which he or she thinks is already a perfect speech.
And then you snap that enthusiasm out of the
Yes,
speech.
and here you come telling him that you should be doing this and this and this. So it's not really. It doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't really go well with the speaker. So
Okay.
hence the craft of finding the right way of giving a recommendation, but making sure that at the end of your evaluation, you manage to uplift the spirit of the speaker.
That's nice.
Yes.
Did you win in the contest?
I reached area level, but I did not win. For my international speech contest, I became the Area 23 champion, but I did not
Congrats.
qualify or did not win the division level. So 2 years after, I competed again, but this time I focused on the evaluation.
Okay.
So I managed to reach district level, but unfortunately I wasn't able to bag any.
But there are going to be more contests
Yes.
anyway.
Well, hopefully.
What about your international speech? What did you talk about in that speech?
At that time, I talked about. I kind of forgot already. That's 4 years ago.
This is 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I talk about the earthquake, but in every international speech, you have to be able to give a message to your audience. So at the end of your speech, you should be able to inspire your audience to do something, to act on
That's the
something.
objective
Yes.
of the speech.
Yes.
Okay, before we go further down the line about the organization, I'd like to ask, what prompted you to join Toastmasters International? Did you have any past experiences that traumatized you, for example, that told you, I really have to join and develop myself here?
Well, honestly speaking, on my part, I was at the time.
By the way, both of you belong to different clubs, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So Jeffrey belongs to.
I'm a member of Taipan Toastmasters Club, and I also became a member of Big Pasibo Toastmasters Club.
Okay, club.
So I belong to Big Pasibo Toastmasters Club, and then my home club, Cebu, Sinulog Toastmasters Club.
I guess that's one of the oldest clubs
Yes.
in Cebu. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, please.
So you're talking about
Past trauma in the
Trauma.
past, if you had any.
yeah. So I think my first exposure to Toastmasters was back then when I was a college student. So it was fun of joining oratorical competition. And
So why did you have to join? So
Yeah.
you didn't have that fear, in other words.
yeah, I just really love to speak in front.
Okay.
And then my coach then was Mr. Alex Delantar at
Uh-huh.
college, and then he was a member of Queen City Toastmasters Club.
Yes, I heard, yeah.
So he was very good, and then I told myself one day I will be like Sir Alex, but until now I haven't reached that level yet.
You'll get there,
Yeah.
I hope, yeah.
And then when there was an opportunity in 2013, I was invited by a doctor. Her name is Dr. Gisela Maya. So she wanted me to attend one of the meetings of Sinulog Toastmasters Club. So, and then because I heard of Toastmasters already, I gave in and then attended the meeting. And then right there and then after the meeting, I signed up.
What made you sign up right away?
Because they were really very good. And I love the part where you get to be evaluated. And that part when there's a rundown of the ahs, the ums that you utter. In a meeting.
Okay, that's something,
Yeah.
another interesting aspect of the
Yeah.
meetings. I heard that you get to count a person's fillers, so to
Filler
speak.
words.
The
Yes.
Yes.
You do that in meetings.
And there's also somebody who will check on the way you use the English language. So there's a grammarian and an a counter.
Okay.
So that's it. Mhm.
If there's a grammarian, isn't that embarrassing on your part? If, for example, that person observes
Mhm.
you had 20 mistakes as far as usage of the English language is concerned, isn't that embarrassing if you get a special mention at the end of your meetings?
Of course, your name will not be called out during the meeting.
Okay.
And Toastmasters has also established that mindset to its members that it's a laboratory where you can learn. So it's okay to commit mistakes. It's a safe environment for learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, did you have any
Yeah,
traumatic experience?
Well, in terms of a traumatic experience, not really, but I remember joining this declamation contest back in high school. It was in Chinese, and I really memorized my piece, and all of a sudden, I lost it. and I just
On
kept down
stage?
on stage.
You forgot everything on
I
stage.
forgot everything. I was competing, and then I just kept down to the last part and just ended my speech and just went back to my seat. So I couldn't remember that experience. But what really prompted me to join Toastmasters was not because of this experience, but it was more of the value I saw when I first joined the meeting. I was invited by a very good friend, Richard Quaho, so I made it past Division C Director. And that meeting I saw past International President Johnny Uy and past District Governor Grace Paras giving evaluations.
Okay.
And if you can just hear them give their evaluations. So I was wowed at the time, and I really thought that if I join, I will become good evaluators and good
Just like
speakers
them.
just like themselves. So,
Okay.
yes.
Are you near that?
No, I still have a lot of things to learn. But I'm trying to get there.
Yeah. So now you are. How long have you been in Toastmasters? Since 2013.
2013.
2013, and you.
This is my 5th year
Your 5th year in
as a
Toastmasters.
Toastmaster.
How long can a member stay in a club?
For as long as you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think one of the questions also that those who might be interested to join is the aspect of payment. Do we pay if we join Toastmasters? And how much do we pay if ever we join?
It's very minimal. Like if we are to compute it on a monthly basis, it's just basically around 750 pesos per month. So that's how
Do you pay monthly for this?
we collect every 6 months
Okay.
Yeah.
So biannual.
by annual.
Yes.
So that's $45
Yeah.
every semester.
Why is it important for people to have the skill of speaking in public? For example, if I'm someone who works in four corners of the room, I don't really go out. Why do I have to learn these things?
My personal take on that is it's really impossible that an individual does not get any contact with other people.
Okay.
So regardless of your job or your dealings with people, there are really instances when you're faced with a situation that you have to be able to communicate and to be able to express yourself. I just had a word earlier with another Toastmaster, and he works for a hotel as the supervisor of food and beverage. I was asking him what was the worst experience you had, or the worst client experience that you had.
Yeah.
So he was telling me this very irate client who just insisted that he should not be paying for his meal because he's just had just a plate and he wants to leave without paying. I said, it's a good thing that you're a Toastmaster because you really stood your ground. You did not allow him to push you over, and you really made sure that he gets to pay you. So I really saw the value of our training as Toastmasters because you managed to stay calm despite the situation that you're in, and at the same time you managed to really insist on something that you want to happen.
Interesting. Yes.
Yeah, because every day you always be confronted with an opportunity to engage with people. Like say for example, when you're married, like just like Jeffrey here, and your wife asks
Oh, I heard you just tied the knot.
Yes.
Congratulations.
why you came home late. So because of our Toastmasters experience, we're able to handle the question well. If you're single, just like me, so I was asked yesterday by this lady, and she was asking me, are you married? So I was able to handle that well by throwing back the question to her, why do you want to marry me?
Sorry.
It allows you opportunities
Yes.
to have witty remarks.
Yes. But on a more serious note, like just my experience in Toastmasters brought me to a lot of places. So I did not discover that I'm able to do trainings not until I became a member of Toastmasters. So back then when I started out with at the GSK, all I knew was I wanted to do sales. But when I was given an opportunity to do training, I thought that I would not be able to do it. But because of my Toastmasters experience, I took the challenge. And right now I'm in the business of training people, and I love doing trainings.
What kind of trainings do you do?
Yeah, so I trained the sales managers of GSK, first-line sales managers of GSK. So
Okay.
I talk about management topics.
Do you also have, because Jeffrey mentioned earlier that when you progress in Toastmasters, you get to talk about a lot of things. You got to talk about what were those you mentioned earlier?
You have
Different topics, storytelling.
You also get to handle projects like TV interview.
Uh-huh.
I remember
Engaging
some
TV.
projects on sales, sort of
So
closing
you can
sales.
actually, yeah.
And even as simple as doing a toast, that can be learned in Toastmasters.
Really?
Yeah. There's
So
a
you
manual,
actually need to practice a toast.
because there's a proper way of doing it. So,
Well, what is the proper way of doing it?
so first you will have to make sure that you know what the occasion is
Uh-huh.
and why are you delivering the toast. Yeah. So there's a manual. It's called the
Special occasions.
special occasions manual. So
Okay.
how to introduce a speaker, how to do a toast, yeah,
How to present an award.
how to present an
how to do-
award,
How to do a roast.
yeah, how to do a roast.
You actually have to learn how to do a roast, how to roast someone in public.
Yes.
Why is that important? Isn't the point of a roast putting someone on the spot and ridicule?
Yes, it is, but it's more fun that way, I think.
Okay.
We have several best man speeches,
Yes.
I
maid
see.
of honor speeches. These are pretty much roasts.
Roast.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. So what can we expect from Toastmasters International? By the way, how different is the club from other organizations in the community? Is this a community club? Do you do civic work, for example? Do you do volunteer work?
No, Toastmasters is quite different from other social civic organizations because in Toastmasters we really focus on the individual development, and that is in the aspect of communication and leadership. And it's a self-paced program, so it all depends on you and whether or not you're going to finish this particular project in a specific amount.
I see.
Yeah.
Jeffrey?
Yeah, so Toastmasters International is really about self-development. So we just had a demo meeting with one of an organization in in the Cebu Business Park. Was thinking of opening or creating a Toastmasters club for their organization.
I see.
And what really highlighted to them
Is this going to be a corporate club, if ever?
Yes.
Yes, it is a corporate club, and what really highlighted to them is the fact that yes, you can pay for training, but a day's training has its limitations.
Yes.
So we only pay $45 for 6 months. That's our membership dues. But your $45 will really go a long way in the sense that you have 6 months to practice your employees. So within the 6 months, your employees get to deliver speeches and get to really improve their confidence, as opposed to just a day's training
Or one-on-one?
or a one-on-one
Right.
training, perhaps. Yes.
Because I understand if you are in Toastmasters, you have a captive audience that you can actually practice with or speaking
Yes.
before.
Yes, and the beauty about the Toastmasters program is that you're really encouraged to make mistakes in your home club.
Okay.
Because by doing so, and by hearing all the evaluations or the comments and recommendations from your friends or your fellow members, then you get to improve. And that is what we really point out to all our newer members, that don't be afraid to start speaking, because this is really the perfect place to make mistakes and to learn.
Yes. It's a laboratory. We call Toastmasters a laboratory, safe environment where you can learn public speaking.
Interesting.
Yeah.
If I'm a member of a Toastmasters club in the Philippines, for example, and if I go abroad, can I visit other clubs? Can I speak there?
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
And you can go to the website and search for a club.
Ah,
And you can search information like their schedule, their meeting schedules, and then you can contact them and ask to join their meeting.
do they actually accommodate?
Yes. We have a member with Taipan Toastmasters Club who visited the US and actually visited one meeting there.
I see. What are the differences? What differences did you observe or similarities? Meetings here and meetings there.
And in the US, the main difference that he pointed out was that their meetings really finish within an hour because they usually meet during lunch break.
I see.
So that's why they get to meet every week as well.
But in the Philippines, where are the meetings held? What time are the meetings held?
After office.
For the corporate clubs, most of them meet during lunchtime.
Mm-hmm.
But for the community clubs, such as Taipan and Big Bus Cebu Toastmasters Club, we meet at night.
I see.
And our meetings are longer. We take around
Why?
at least 2
Why
hours.
longer?
Because there's always an extension after the meeting. So after speeches, after evaluation, after the meeting will finish, So we still convene and then we talk practically about different things. We catch up.
So fellowship.
Fellowship.
Fellowship is always part of the meetings. I think it's very Filipino, don't you think?
Yes.
Where and when did this organization start? Its origins, if you can share with us.
I'm not so sure about the year that it started, but I understand that we are actually celebrating our 95th year.
I see. That's
So,
long. That's long.
1924
1924, and then
in Santa Ana,
Sunday,
California.
yeah.
Is our headquarters.
So just 5 years more to the centenary.
Yes, 5 years more.
Okay. So this started. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. That's it. So, and then it started as a very small organization, and right now it has grown to about 14,650 clubs all over the world.
All over the world.
Toastmasters is present in 122 countries
Okay.
around the world.
Can you, for example, because I heard that when you are at Toastmasters, the so to speak, the primary language is English.
Yes.
But can you use other languages in your
Yes.
speeches, for example?
Yes, but in China they use Chinese as their medium.
Mm.
We have 2 clubs in Manila who conduct meetings in Mandarin.
I see.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
I
we
see.
have the Emperor and I forgot the other club.
I see.
But they do their meetings in Mandarin.
In Cebu,
So,
are there clubs that do meetings in Cebuano?
Well, we attempted to do. No, we do have special meetings.
I see.
So
Okay.
like during August we have a Linggo ng Wika theme.
Ah,
Some clubs opt to use Tagalog, some clubs opt to use Bisaya.
Interesting.
Yes,
Interesting.
for Taipan, during our Chinese New Year meetings, then we try to incorporate a little bit of Chinese and
Is your club exclusive to Chinese?
No. It's predominantly Filipino Chinese.
Okay.
yes.
What about Bigpa?
So, we do the medium of language that we use is always English. So, but we do special meetings just like in Taipan.
By the way, Bigpa is, well, an organization of accountants.
Yes.
But you're not an accountant. Why are you there?
So it started out as an
Is it the
exclusive.
civic? Okay.
It started out as an exclusive club for members of PICPA.
Okay.
So they decided to set up a Toastmasters club, but it has also become open, or it has opened its doors to
Has
other
evolved.
professions.
Okay. So it's a civic club
Yeah.
essentially now.
Yes.
Okay. Again, please, how many clubs are there in Cebu? Where are these clubs located? How do you find the clubs?
Yeah.
For those who might be interested in
So
them.
there are 24 clubs in Cebu City, and it all depends on your availability. So if you're available on a Monday, so there's a club that meets on Monday, that's Sinulog Toastmasters Club. If you are available on Tuesday, we also have a club for that. Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, so and even Saturdays, it's Queen City.
Mm.
So, but the fundamentals, the way we do meetings is one and the same, and it's what else? So that's it basically. So if you want to join, just take a look at our Facebook pages.
I see.
Yeah.
Each club is a Facebook page.
Yes.
Okay.
Each club has a Facebook page, and you can refer to the page for information regarding our club meetings.
And just to mention, if you're a member of Toastmasters, you also get to have your speech printed in the Freeman, because Toastmasters have been giving us content every Sunday in a column exclusive to Toastmasters International.
Yeah.
In the Philippines, we call that Table Topics,
Table Topics,
incidentally.
yes.
So that comes out every Sunday in the Freeman.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to have 2 speeches already
So-
published.
I've always wanted.
These are international speeches, prepared speeches.
My prepared speeches, my basic one, or my icebreaker speech was actually published,
I see.
and
Yeah.
my 10th speech.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's it. So Toastmasters is really an organization where you can learn. So don't be afraid to attend one of our meetings, because I tell you it's a meeting that's packed with a lot of excitement, and then you will get to learn a lot of things about public speaking and leadership, and you also get to meet a lot of people who share the same interest in public speaking.
I heard you met your wife in Toastmasters, or did I hear it correctly?
Yes, that's correct. She's also a member of the same club.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, when we go out on dates, we actually use table topics.
Interesting, why not, right? So there you have it, Kulay Malazarte and Jed Fritan of Division C and Area 24 of Toastmasters International here in the Philippines. Thank you so much for joining us today, and if you want to know more about Toastmasters International, you can visit their website Toastmasters.org.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be, that's Toastmasters.org. This is Gilbert Ocao, online editor of the Freeman. Thank you very much for joining us. Until next time.